Hi, I'm Aubrey Shines. I'm Senior Pastor and Bishop of G2G Ministries in Tampa, Florida. There's a term that's often used in the prison systems in the United States, and it's called being a snitch. Simply means that even if something bad happens to you, don't tell the powers that be, because to do that, you're actually selling someone out. Even though they may have violated you, whatever you do, don't snitch. Unfortunately, we have, not just in our prison systems, we're seeing this lived out in this country over and over again, as it relates to every time an elected official points out some problem, some chaos in a particular city, especially if that city is governed by someone that is black, they're considered a racist or a snitch. Why? Simply because they're pointing out something that most won't even talk about. Consider several cities here, if you don't mind. Look at some of the top cities like Detroit, Oakland, Kansas. You can go as far as you want to on this issue, Baltimore especially. These are cities that have been governed for several decades by black people, and they are infested, not just with rats, by the way. They're infested with crime. They're infested with men that won't take care of their responsibility to take care of their own sons and daughters. And by the way, every time that happens, 80% of those kids, they're going to go to jail. 79.4% are going to literally go into a physical prison system. But yet, when elected officials point it out, they're racist. We're racist, we're sellout, we're snitches for telling this. Wouldn't you want someone to help you if you were unfortunately finding yourself being violated over and over again? Will you consider something else? And I think you're going to find this very amazing. Let's look at the words of Booker T. Washington. Booker T. Washington said something, and again, I consider him one of the great, real, authentic civil rights leaders, not like some of these race baiters that we have nowadays, but consider what he said. There's a certain class of race problem solvers who don't want to be, or don't rather want the patient to get well. Because as long as the disease holds, guess what? They have not only an easy means of making a living, but also an easy medium through which to make themselves prominent before the public. I know when I say that you think of people like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, and you should, because the only thing they do is they point out that someone is calling someone a racist, or they're using some derogatory term. Yet, if you look at the facts for themselves, consider even one of the latest things we heard about Baltimore. Go back and you'll find that people like, Elijah Cummings, the very gentleman that is frowning upon this, the one that Al Sharpton has now joined hand in hand, he's literally on record in the House of Representatives for saying the same thing. Why do you need to know this? Because every time blacks put in these type of elected officials that continue to make themselves king and give themselves voices over these areas that are in just full chaos, they are helping the problem continue, because they're not looking for a solution. They're just keeping their pockets filled by making themselves relevant. As Booker T. Washington said, people, we can do better than this. If you see a problem, you need to say something to someone. Stop allowing these individual so-called leaders to tell you that you're selling out, you're being a snitch, you're being a racist, you are identifying with the wrong party. For 7 decades in this country, there's been one party that has unfortunately been the catalyst and the conduit of this chaotic infestation, and that is the Democratic Party. You can study it on your own time. Not one city where these individuals are governing that there is not some kind of chaos. It's a blight of buildings. People are moving out. Drug infestations. Why? Because they're not looking for a solution. They're looking to keep themselves employed. And they're doing it, unfortunately, on the backs of poor men and women that sometimes don't have all this information. Let us help them get that information. How? Please share this video. Let's get out. Let's make sure in these areas that there are some alternative men and women that are running for office that won't just talk about the problem, but they're really bringing solutions. And one thing we know historically for a fact, Democrats in these areas in 7 decades have never had a solution. People, we can do better. We must do better. And until I come again, I bid you peace.